Hey everyone, let's review the Talos Principle. The Talos Principle is a 3D puzzle game made by Crow Team, an independent developer that had not made any games outside their own Serious Sam franchise in almost 20 years. Those games are all lighthearted shooters, so for them to release a 3D puzzler with philosophical undertones without any combat at all was more than a little surprising. The game reminds me a lot of Portal. No, you don't have a portal gun in this game, but the important things they have in common are great puzzles and a mysterious, seemingly omnipresent voice keeping you company. The game is not as funny as Portal, but it is more likely to make you think.
You walk now upon the stones of my temple, whence many gates lead, and know that I have other temples, for my garden is greater than your eye can encompass, and all these worlds I made for you.
The puzzles start out simple at first with only a few tools and mechanics, letting you get familiar with those before you have to use them in more complex ways, and then introducing yet more mechanics and tools. If you ever get stuck, it's easy to temporarily skip puzzles since you don't have to solve them in a strict order. Instead, you usually have many different options as to which puzzle you want to approach next. The puzzles are all color-coded as either green, yellow or red. The green ones usually being quite easy introductory puzzles, yellow slightly more difficult, and the red ones being the actual meat of the game. All of the puzzles give a Tetris block in a matching color as a reward after you solve them. That can then be used to unlock new areas or tools by solving a simple jigsaw puzzle using the received blocks. Throughout the game, you will find QR codes on the walls that can be read by clicking on them. They are seemingly written by others going through the same puzzles as yourself. All the messages are signed, so after a while you get to feel like you get to know different personalities as they write about their thoughts on the puzzles you're all going through. There are also different consoles that you can interact with to read various files on, ranging from internet chat logs, company emails, and philosophical texts. Those documents can be used to try and figure out just what is going on, since the game is not very forthcoming with its story outside of those consoles. What I find more interesting on the consoles though is when you get to chat with someone through it. You can't write whatever you want during those sessions, but instead you get to choose one of several options to reply with. Those chats were highly enjoyable to me, and whenever I solved a puzzle I was hoping for more of that. That's not to say that I didn't enjoy the puzzles too, because I very much did. I think this is the most fun I've had solving puzzles since Portal. The puzzles never felt unfair, instead they always made sense to me, which was very satisfying whenever I solved a new one. And there are plenty. There are almost 100 puzzles in the Talos Principle. On top of all the regular puzzles, there are also 30 stars throughout the game that are also very tricky to find, as well as requiring thinking outside of the box to get to. It's not necessary to get those stars, but they are there for people who want an extra challenge. There are also other things to discover that I'm not even mentioning here. I personally did not find everything or solved all of the star puzzles, but I love that it's there. It makes the game feel the good kind of dense. Overall, it took me about 16 hours to complete the main game without finding most of the extras. The graphics in the game are crisp, but not very varied. While the individual objects all look great on their own, the environments are just not that interesting to look at. They serve its purpose though, and it never holds the game back. The music in the game is pleasant and fits the mood of the game very well. However, just like with the graphics, it's not very diverse. While the music didn't grate on me personally, I can imagine others will be tired of it eventually. The game has a few different endings, and thankfully even though you cannot make manual saves, it keeps separate checkpoint saves throughout. So if you're not quite satisfied with your ending, you can load a previous checkpoint and try something else. Bottom line is that if you have any interest in puzzle games, I highly recommend this game to you, especially if you enjoyed Portal. There just aren't that many good games in this genre, but this one is exceptional. There's an expansion for the game out, which is well worth it too, if you finish the original game. It adds several new slightly harder puzzles, as well as more console interaction than in the original game. The expansion took me around 10 hours to go through without doing most of the optional harder content, so it's a lot meatier than most DLC nowadays. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.